Officials are in the planning stages to form what will be the fifth largest city in Louisiana, the city of St. George. Thursday, the state Supreme Court rejected a last-ditch effort to block the city's creation. The push for St. George started with plans for a new school district, but evolved into what will now be the new city in southeastern section of East Baton Rouge Parish. I sat down with St. George's first mayor, Dustin Yates, for more on how he hopes to make this city a model for future municipalities. I am joined by the mayor of the city of St. George, Dustin Yates. Congratulations.
Thank you, Karen.
So he's joining us here in studios to bring us up to date on the evolution of the new city of St. George. The official city government structure is in place. What's next?
So we have a lot of our members. In fact, the majority of them have never sat on any type of legislative body before, but that's kind of how we started, and really kind of how we ran our campaign was, and what we focused on was just ordinary citizens that were looking to do something better for their community. So we want to make sure they get the proper training and understanding of how the process has to be and their roles and responsibilities moving forward. So that'll be the first step, and then after that we'll publish a schedule of city council meetings, and then we will begin the process of building our city.
Give us the backstory. This has been 5 years in the making, and it was a grassroots effort.
Sure, yeah. It's been 5 years in the making since the vote, actually. So if you really go back to the very beginning of the movement really began in 2010, 2011, when a group of residents in the southeastern part of East Baton Rouge Parish were attempting to create their own school system. They went through the legislative process for 2 years in a row, and ultimately they were told in the process that you couldn't have your own school system unless you became a city. So that was in 2013, and that's when I started becoming involved with the movement. So I've been involved with it almost 11 years to the day. So by state law, you had to have 25% of the registered voters in your area sign a petition saying that they would like for the residents of the proposed area to vote on it. We went through that process for a few years. We acquired the correct amount of signatures. It was put to a vote by the governor, and the people came out, voted in support of it in October of 2019. Shortly thereafter, it was contested legally, and we ran through A to Z in the Louisiana legal system, from the district court to the appellate court to the Supreme Court. And April 26th of this year, the Supreme Court ruled that we could become a city.
This is also about the tax base and the best utilization of tax dollars, right?
So we would like to keep some of those tax dollars home where we're at, but you know, one of the misconceptions from the very beginning was that we were leaving the parish or we were breaking away, and that's just not the case. We didn't leave East Baton Rouge Parish. We don't want to leave East Baton Rouge Parish. If we wanted to, we would have left already. The idea was to create a smaller, more sustainable government that was in tune to the needs in this area. And if you look at East Baton Rouge Parish as a whole, you know, it's not a new thing to have other municipalities. Of course, you have Baton Rouge, and you have Baker, and you have Zachary, and you have Central, which was recently formed in 2006. And those areas are allowed to govern themselves, and we were just seeking that same opportunity.
So East Baton Rouge Parish Mayor President Sharon Broome obviously opposed the concept of St. George becoming its own city. Her concern was that would undermine the tax base and the infrastructure of East Baton Rouge Parish. What do you say to critics?
As far as the tax base and the structure, well, part of their argument was always that they were going to lose all this money, but they really never acknowledged the fact of the services that they would no longer have to provide here. So we really think that it will have a minimal impact on the government as a whole. As far as the everyday resident of the city of Baton Rouge, this is about government, and this is about prioritization of funding and things of those natures. And will they have to do some things differently? Probably. Will they have to prioritize some things differently? Sure. But the world evolves, government evolves.
Going forward, where are we at with that initial idea of developing an independent school system? Will the city of St. George have its own school system?
You know, the governor appointed me to be the mayor. He did not, however, appoint me to start a school system. So like I said before, I think we can all agree that we should have better choices for our children in regard to education. But in the interim period, our primary sole focus is on standing up that city government. Once that government is up and running and doing the things that we know that it's going to be capable of doing, I'm sure the school system will then become more of a forefront objective.
The name St. George, does that come from the church?
The name St. George has always been significant in our area. You have the St. George Catholic Church, which is obviously there, and I'm a parishioner there. But you also have the St. George Fire Protection District, and there was an original neighborhood there called the Village St. George neighborhood, which really is where the fire department was born out of as well. So it just seemed to make sense to the majority of the people that were involved in the beginning, and that's kind of, it was a vote of the majority. That's what they wanted.
So going forward, can you just kind of outline some of your immediate priorities in this evolution as a city?
Sure. So one of our immediate priorities is obviously to develop a communication plan. So we don't have any money right now. So we are currently the only city in the state that has $0. So it's going to take some time for that transference of tax dollars to take place. But establishing a strong communication plan so people know who to call, when to call, where to meet, where to go to find necessary information is big.
Is the city of St. George going to essentially claw back tax dollars paid into East Baton Rouge Parish several years back when the legal fight started? Or how's that work?
I couldn't answer that question. All I can answer is that moving forward, eventually the 2-cent sales tax that is generated in the St. George area will eventually be transferred over to St. George, and those dollars will be utilized to provide those governmental services that were previously being provided by EBR.
But do you know, does the 2 cents start collecting into the St. George coffers today, yesterday, last week, 2 years ago?
That's a great question.
How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish I had a great answer for you, but that date is yet to be determined.
All right. Final thoughts before we go.
To be quite honest with you, we believe that we are going to create a model for future governments to look upon for 21st century governance. It's not a stretch for people to look out and see that the 20th century model of municipal government is broken, and it's been broken for quite some time. We're looking to have a lean, efficient government that relies a lot on contracting out of services. We're going to have very few employees. We're going to, instead of investing in that, we're going to invest back into our community. We're going to make a great place where people want to stay, where families want to raise their children, and where our children want to stay. And ultimately, and currently, Louisiana is losing more people than we're gaining, and that has always been a directive of ours and always been an objective of ours from the very beginning, is to kind of curb that migration of our people to other areas or other states.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mayor Dustin Yates, City of St. George. We look forward to watching your progress as a city.
I appreciate it, Karen. Thank you so much.
St. George leaders have agreed to formally ask East Baton Rouge Parish to transfer tens of millions of dollars in tax revenue to the city's new coffers. East Baton Rouge Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome says she set a meeting with Mayor Yates to discuss ways to streamline the transition.